I think that would be complexity. I think a lot of our customers need to start realizing that the ecosystems that they're building are fundamentally changing. Today they are facing more and more transitions to all IP systems. There's increasingly more and more virtualization. There's the leverage of off-premises type of services that they integrate into their ecosystems. And the result of that is that you create what we call a very complex environment where there's increasingly more components that interact with each other. And the result of that is really in a complex system, you need to understand how it behaves. A complex system means that I don't necessarily understand if something happens over here, it has a certain effect over there. It used to be very simple in a very linear, straightforward fashion that we saw in the old systems. Today, people don't always understand that. Complex systems also have a lot of advantages that are very appealing. I can have a single server that I lose, or I can pull out a cable and nothing is really happening. They have a lot of resilience to deal with that kind of situations. But then again, a complex systems, very characteristic is also the inherent capability for total collapse. And we see that on a daily basis. There's a lot of big online platforms. They're always there until they have a huge failure. So you need to try to understand what that means to run an operation on a complex system. And that has a lot of implications. Implications in terms of security, implications in terms of how you provision and set up that system, implications on how you monitor those ecosystems. And that kind of translates in a lot of new requirements. In the last couple of years, we talked a lot about leveraging AI. AI that has the ability to look at your operations in a much more natural way, looking at behavior of equipment, looking at behavior of metrics. Today we are talking about systems that, for example, learn automatically about how your ecosystems behave and have the ability to interpret that and signal and flag anything that goes wrong. On the other hand, there's a lot about orchestration. Orchestration, because we no longer understand how these ecosystems behave. It's very difficult to see, do I have enough space, to launch a new service, for example. So full automation and orchestration with awareness about availability of all the different components, the capacity of all those different components, the capabilities of those components is also very important. But I would definitely say understanding the fundamental nature of a complex system and what it takes is very important in these days, yeah. I think in that new environment, you have to very carefully look at the overall architecture of how you're building things. Because at the end of the day, we live in a very fast-paced industry. It's a very unpredictable industry. And I have a lot of customers, for example, they're talking about how they will transition to all IP. And I'm always saying, you're not transitioning. You will go to an all IP ecosystem, for example, with a lot of virtualized components. And once you're there, you're in a constant state of transition. You're in a constant state of becoming. The market is shifting, the needs of the customers are changing, and you have to be able to address that. One of the key answers to that is agility in your operations. And agility is not the same like flexibility. Everybody can put in IP switches, everybody can leverage cloud services, everybody can put in software components, but it's all about who can take all those components and consolidate them into an agile environment. And agility is everywhere in the business. We're talking about agility in terms of having a very strong orchestration capability to deploy services very quickly, with the push of a button. Every service, whether that's be a quite sophisticated professional satellite service, maybe combined with some other services, they should be available as a commodity so that you can deploy them with a single click of the button. But it also has a lot of other implications. I always say, for example, one of the big challenges is those complex environments, all of our customers are dealing with this, expertise. I need experts in RF, I need experts in software, in IT, and all those different expertises. And what you need today is agility also on the business layer. Agility on the business layer means I have all those experts, I have people on different locations, they need to be able to work together and interact with the operations in completely new ways. And that's why, for example, at Skyline, we introduced new ways of collaborating. We're saying, hey, people, operators, they need to interact with the operational systems in a much more fluid and natural way. And we've done that, for example, with integrations like tools like Teams and Slack, where dynamic teams, squads, operational squads, DevOps squads with operators and engineers can really interact with the operations in real time, wherever they are. So that's also agility. So agility is something that you can find everywhere, from the business all down to the technology. I think the most important thing is to get the foundation right. There's too many people that confuse speed with agility. Speed is your ability to go from point A to point B, and I see a lot of customers kind of rushing into new technology, and they only think about speed. How fast can I get it? How fast can you deploy it? I need to be up and running. Some people should take, a few steps back and look at the overall architecture. How will I build an agile architecture? If I'm smart and I build the proper architecture so that it is agile, I will beat anybody that goes for speed. If you go for speed, you're going to be deploying different silos, different containers, and all of those things. But you will find very quickly, once you deploy those individual silos that are operational, that once you get to the point that you realize, hey, I need artificial intelligence to start mastering this, I need integrations to do collaboration, I need consolidated dashboards, that it becomes extremely difficult to accomplish that. So my key message would be, if you want to be successful, it's to really look at the fundamentals of everything that you're building. You have to deploy all those different containers, but you have to have a unified approach in how you manage that, how you're going to orchestrate that. If you don't do that, you will pay a price down the road. And that's a common mistake that I see. People just go for speed. They have an assignment, we need to deploy a new technology. They go for it as fast as possible. Whatever the consequences are later, we'll deal with that later. And that's a very dangerous thing these days.